Finally, I want to talk a little bit about experiences. We've talked a lot about the different foods you can eat, but I want to talk about the activities that you can do to bring a greater appreciation for food into your travels in Europe. One of the most popular ways to do that, especially these days, are cooking classes. And again, these are so popular, they're popping up all over Europe. And it's a really fun way to learn about the culture and also to take home a skill. You can go home and actually make some of these dishes at home. I want to tell you about a really beautiful cooking class experience I had, kind of the ultimate in what you can accomplish at one of these classes, with a Michelin star chef in a small hill town in Tuscany. His name was Chef Roberto. I was staying in an Agriturismo and they set up this experience where me and some of my friends could shadow Chef Roberto in his kitchen. And it was an education. He was very proud of the local cuisine. He took out 2 eggs. He said, this egg is a farm fresh egg from across the street. This egg is one that I bought at a supermarket. I'm going to crack them both and you tell me which one is the farm fresh egg. Pretty obvious that the bright orange one on the right, or on the left rather, is the farm fresh egg. Then he swept that egg into a container of flour and he added a few ingredients and he kneaded and kneaded and kneaded and created this perfect classic dough for pasta. And he invited us all to touch it so we knew how our dough should feel under our fingers when it was ready if we were making this at home. Then he took that dough and he rolled it out and put it through his roller and created these little bundles where he rolled it up and then he pulled out his knife and he started slicing off noodles at different widths. And as he went, he described which noodle he was making. This is pappardelle, it's wide. This is tagliatelle, it's a little bit less wide. This is angel hair pasta. And with one very talented chef and a knife in about 10 minutes, he had an array of about 10 different kinds of pasta before him. It was so inspiring to be in the presence of somebody with that kind of talent. And then when we went home and we made our own pasta, we actually had a little more insight into how that worked. Oh, and of course, we got to taste it as well. Another really popular trend these days in Europe is food tours. So there's cooking classes, but then there's food tours, which are designed to take you around a city and introduce you to some of the really interesting producers in that place. I did a really excellent food tour in Spain, in the city of San Sebastian, which is known for its tapas scene. I'd been to a lot of tapas bars over the years, but finally with this food tour, having a great guide, I understood in a more nuanced way the tapas culture of Spain. When we walked in the door of one place, she walked us past all of the dishes lined up on the bar in front, and in back you saw another lineup of tapas that were all raw. And she said, if you want really fresh tapas, you skip the stuff up front and you come in the back and you tell them which one they want and they'll grill it up fresh. That way you know you're getting the freshest food. From that array of things in the back, she ordered a plate of pimientos de padrón. They're a little bit like shishito peppers in the United States. And she explained the custom behind this. They deep fry them, flash fry them with a little bit of coarse salt. If you didn't have her with you, you wouldn't know that because of the different amounts of sunlight that different parts of the plant get, some of these peppers are normal peppers and some are really hot peppers. And it's kind of a Russian roulette sort of fun game for people. Everyone takes a pepper and you wait to bite to see which one you might have gotten. These are these great kind of cultural nuances that you can kind of learn on your own, and of course we try to put these in our guidebooks, but having a local person walk you by the hand and show you all of this stuff, it can really be an education. I took another great food tour in Poland, for example, where I learned more about Poland than I ever thought that I would know, and I learned a lot about Polish history and Polish culture, not just Polish cooking. The really best food tours are a good, worthwhile investment. And the last type of food experience that I want to talk about is learning about where your food comes from. This is really interesting. If you're really into food, you can actually go visit farms. You can actually go stay on a farm. There's a whole culture for this. In Italy, it's called Agriturismo. Okay, Agriturismo. And it's a place where you're actually staying on a working farm. And if it's done really well, they're going to create some activities and some experiences that will help you understand what they're doing. My favorite Agriturismo is a place in Tuscany called Cretaole. This is Isabella and Carlo. They run this place. I stayed there once for a week with my family, and it was a real education in all different aspects of Tuscan food. First, we walked around their actual farmhouse. We met Luciano, the father of the family, and the farmer who owns this farm. One time I was hanging out with Luciano, and he was watching tourists try to harvest olives from his trees. And he kind of nudged me, and he said, "This is the problem with Agriturismo. There's a lot of turismo, but not that much agri." But we made sure to have all different kinds of culinary experience. They set up a tour for us at a Pecorino cheese factory. Pecorino cheese comes from this part of Tuscany, so we got to learn how Pecorino cheese is made, the history of that cheese, and we got to sample several different types of Pecorino cheese. And then we went on a truffle hunt through the woods. We followed this adorable dog named Millie and her owner as she led us on this kind of wild goose chase through a wooden forest. Finally, she got excited and she started digging, and her owner pulled her aside, and he pulled out his little shovel and started digging very, very carefully. And sure enough, he pulled out this delicious little nugget of truffle, and he gave us all a whiff. And the grand finale of our week at this Agriturismo was pasta making night. We all gathered in the common room, and Isabella, the owner of the place, first she made this giant wad of pasta dough, and then she broke off little chunks, and she distributed it to each of us. And each family had an opportunity to try hand-rolling the local pasta, the local noodle called pici. And we didn't all succeed, but we all had a really good meal at the end of it. It is possible to have these kinds of experiences all over Europe. If you're in Eastern Europe, you'll understand that there is a culture for people making their own plum brandy. And you can go to a little farm in the middle of nowhere, and someone will take you into their barn and say, let me show you the plums that I harvested, and then let me show you the still where I make my own homemade brandy. One of my favorite countries is Slovenia, where they have a very proud beekeeping culture. It's a really important part of Slovenian culture. And near Lake Bled, which is a famous destination there, there's a guy who opens up his beehive and lets people see and learn about this traditional Slovenian technique of beekeeping and learn all about how that's part of their food culture, but it's also a very, very important part of their national culture and their folk culture. Folks, I hope that this has provided you with some inspiration and also some practical tips for how to incorporate food into your travels. And maybe after this, you, like me, will consider yourself a foodie. So I wish you very happy travels and very happy eating. Thank you very much. Thank you.